what's up, universe? So I just experienced within the last 20 minutes, um, I just experienced something where I had to practice, one of these principles that I work with, right? And it's something. It's to me, it's really illustrative of Alan Watts's, story of the Chinese farmer, and I'll get into that here in just a moment. So Friday, I paid a security deposit for the house that I'm moving into. So yesterday, right? Well, 20 minutes ago or so, I received an email from the company where I submitted the application from. So I've been speaking with like the same individual, about the house and going through the whole process, and he's the one that I turned the security deposit into, and we met Friday, and everything was good. So about 20 minutes ago or so, I received an email regarding my application, and it said that my application had been rejected. Now, when I spoke with this individual before I saw him on Friday, he's like, I can get your application approved. And in my mind, I didn't realize that maybe he had already seen that it had been rejected. I just heard that he could get it approved. So in my mind, it was all good, right? And I paid, everything was good. We met Friday. I didn't feel like anything was shady or anything was being kept from me. So when I received this email about my application being rejected, I was like, that's interesting. And I checked in with myself, like immediately, because this is one of those external experiences that looks a certain way and can definitely inspire something inside of me. And it did. Like I recognized that I was feeling the uncertainty and the questioning, and I could feel that in my chest right here and in my body, my physical body. Yet on a bigger scale, more deeply, perhaps, I can say, on a spiritual or energetic level, I knew that it's fine. I know what it looks like, but it's fine. When I heard this individual say I could get your application approved, at that point, I knew energetically and spiritually that this whole thing was taken care of. So when I received this email about the rejection, it inspired a somewhat physical response inside of me, because my trained self, my unconscious self, was responding to that kind of input, knowing like, But I have enough practice with this to be like, hold on a second, like we know what this looks like, and we can feel what it feels like, but hold on a minute. We don't actually know. We don't actually know. Like, this guy said it was approved. This is saying it's rejected. We don't know. We don't know. So it was real quick for me to be like, okay, hold on a second. Like, we got to worry. I have to worry about my state. What's my energetic state? What's my prompt? What am I bringing back to right now? I could be bringing a lot of fear back. I could be bringing a lot of anxiety and a lot of worry, and let's bring all of those resources back. Or I could acknowledge that that's coming up, and I can choose whether or not that's the resource I want to build with. Is that really what I want to use? I'm not sure that's really what I want to use. So I'm gonna acknowledge that that's available to me. I'm gonna come over here though, and I'm gonna lean into this and be like, okay, I don't know. I don't know. This looks the way that it looks, and yet I don't know. So hold on a minute. We're gonna figure it out. So I text the guy. And I'm like, hey, I just received this message that my application was rejected. I don't know what that means, just checking in. I was like, I also realize it's the weekend, so, I'm mindful of that. So don't worry about this. I just want to put it out there. We can wait and talk about it on Monday. The reason I'm doing this video is because he wrote back and he goes, you're all good. He's like, everything's good. He's like, that's what I meant by I could get your application approved. He's like, we saw it came back rejected. He's like, that's why we're just asking for a larger deposit. He's like, so, you're all good. Looking forward to having you move in. Okay. Like, that's awesome. And I'm very grateful. And so, how this relates to Alan Watts, right, and that story of the Chinese farmer is, I'll read you it if you don't mind. He says, once upon a time, there was a Chinese farmer who had a horse and it ran away. And all the neighbors came around and they were like, oh, that's too bad. And the farmer said, maybe. The next day, the horse came back, and with it, it brought 7 other horses. And all the neighbors came around and they were like, oh, that's great. And the farmer's like, maybe. And the next day, the farmer's son was trying to tame one of these horses and was riding it, got flung off and broke his leg. And all the neighbors came around and they were like, oh, that's too bad. And the farmer's like, maybe. Well, the next day, the conscription officers came around recruiting for the army, and they rejected the farmer's son because he had a broken leg. And the neighbors are like, oh, that's great, isn't it? And the farmer's like, maybe. And so the whole thing that Alan says, and I'll quote him, he goes, the whole process of nature is an integrated process of immense complexity, and it is really impossible to know whether anything that happens in it is good or bad, because you never know what the consequences will be of misfortune, or you'll never know what the consequences of good fortune will be. Maybe. And so I'm definitely grateful for this blessing, for sure. There's no doubt about it. And at the same time, who knows? But to be open, really, to whatever, and to move in a direction regardless of what it looks like and what it feels like, or the fear. Now, I agree that fear is reasonable and it can give us pause. It's definitely a safety thing. There's a thing about, this was about appearances, like if it looks like I'm about to fall off a ledge and like physically harm myself, like, okay, this was an energetic thing. Like, I didn't know what this actually meant. I needed to allow myself to be open to receiving a new meaning to this experience. And so regardless, it was going to work out either way. The house was either going to work out and I was going to receive that, or something better was going to come through. So either way, there was no reason to fear either way. And so I work with that. That's a principle I work with. And so to stop myself and be like, what does this look like? I know what this looks like. What does it actually mean? What's an empowered meaning? And so I just wanted to share that. And so thank you for listening. This is a little bit of a longer one. I appreciate you being here with me, and thank you. All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye.